Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Thank you for joining us for another video with the Database Guys. My name is Kevin, and today we'll be looking at how to get started on Oracle Apex, how to create your very first workspace, as well as very first application. So if you don't know, Apex is a low-code development platform that enables you to build scalable and secure enterprise apps with world-class features that can be deployed anywhere. So in a previous video, we covered how to provision an autonomous database. So we actually have that autonomous database pulled up. So let's show you how to access your Apex environment from this screen. So for every autonomous database, Apex comes pre-installed and pre-configured, and Apex is actually completely free to use for any Oracle database. So in order to access your Apex environment, you would simply click on Tools Configuration, and then you can see that Oracle Apex is enabled by default, and this is the URL that you would paste into your browser to access your development environment. So there's actually another way to access your Apex environment, and that is through the autonomous database information. If we go back to that and we scroll all the way down, you can see Apex instance, and it's created one for us. So let's go ahead and click into that. And then you can see it's brought us to the Apex instances, and we can click on the Launch Apex button here. So when you launch Apex for the very first time, it's going to prompt you to access administration services so you can create your very first workspace and associate any schemas with that. So let's go ahead and log into these administration services. And so you can see when it says log in, or when we log in, you can see that it's prompting us to create our very first workspace. So let's go ahead and create that workspace. And then you can see that when you create a workspace, you can associate it with an existing schema. So if you already have data or you're installing Apex on a database that already has data in it, or you can just create a new schema, which we're going to do because we don't have any information in this database. So we're going to give it a workspace name. We're just going to call it demo with the username as the same, just for ease. And then the password, we're just going to give it a password as well. So we click on create workspace. And then you can see in the top left banner, you can see workspace created. We can sign out of the administration services here. And then we can sign into demo to begin building applications. So we'll click into that link right there. And now it brings us to our workspace sign-in. So the very first row will be the workspace that you're trying to log into. The next one will be the user. Now they're both demo because we set them to both the same. But if you were to create other users for if you were to create other users, you would use, this would be where they would log in with their username here. So the password, we're going to log in to our workspace now. And now it's bringing us to the Apex landing page. So before we go any further and create our first application, I'll give you a quick walkthrough or tour of the Apex homepage and some of the main features of Apex. So you can see on the landing page that we have 4 big buttons here, and they're also in the top left. So just in case I navigate with them on the top left, just so you don't get confused, they're also there as well. But App Builder is where you'll spend the majority of your time developing the front and back end of your application here. You can create new applications, you can import applications, templates, themes, plugins, etc. You can also view some other workspace utilities. For example, if you want to create some extra web credentials or set up Active Directory, you can do that all through here as well. So if we go back to the App Builder, on the bottom, which is empty right now, we'll display every single application specific to this workspace. So if you have multiple applications, you can view the details about each one. You can work in each one and hop between the applications as well. So going back to the top, we're going to click on the home page in the top left, and then we're going to click into SQL Workshop. So SQL Workshop is known as the data layer of Apex. Here you can view in the object browser, you can view every single object associated with your specific workspace and schema. You can view all the tables, the views, the indexes, sequences, etc. Now, Apex is low code. That means creating these database objects is very easy. You don't need to memorize or know the exact SQL query or the command to create tables. For example, if you had to click on table, you can see that it just prompts for a table name, and then you would just insert the column names here, the data type here, and then any precision or scale, or if you wanted to be a primary key, and then you just click on create table right there. So if we go close out of this and go back to the SQL workshop, a few more things you can look at is SQL commands, where you can run some simple SQL queries to test them out. You can create and store SQL scripts here that you can run at a future time, as well as RESTful services that say you want to go access a remote data source. You can do that here, or you can, REST enable your own tables that can be accessed by external services as well. So now in the top, we're going to go back to the home page, and then we're going to look at team development. So team development is an internal thing, and we'll just complete the setup here, where your team can, it enables you to track and manage issues in a conversational fashion. You can use things to, you can classify issues and milestones, and you can attach files to certain issues as well. And it's just a simple thing that you can utilize with your team internally to make sure you're on track with developing your application. So now if we go back to the home page, and then now we can look at, last but not least, which is the gallery. So the gallery is a repository of both sample applications which showcase certain features of Apex. For example, let's say you want to learn examples or how to utilize a calendar in Apex, or how to upload or download a file within Apex. You can install these sample applications, which will then give you an example and showcase how they set up this application to utilize that specific feature. There are also starter applications, which are more built out applications that you can utilize in your day-to-day business to enhance your productivity, such as a customer's tracker, an opportunities tracker, maybe even a team calendar if you don't already have something for that. So if we go back to the app builder, let's go ahead and create our very first application. So if we click on create, you can see we have 3 different options of creating an application. We can create an application from a new application from existing data, or just a blank application. So let's say if you already had data in this database and you want to create a new application based off of existing data or tables that you already have loaded, or maybe just a standalone sample one to play around with some features, you can do that here. You can also upload a file, so a CSV, an XLX, XML or JSON file. You would copy, paste, or drag and drop, and it would create a table based off the data that you insert. Or you can install one of the starter applications that we talked about in the gallery. So because we don't have any data in this database, we're going to click on from a file. And it's going to bring us to the load data wizard. And so you can see we have the ability to drag and drop a file here, or copy paste the data itself. Now we don't have the data, so we're going to actually utilize one of our sample data sets. So we click on the drop down. Let's actually just do projects and tasks. So it'll give you a preview of the type of data that you would paste into here. And we're just going to click on next. And it brings us further along in the load data wizard. So here you're able to choose how you want to load your data. You can choose whether you want it to be in a new table or existing table. So let's say if we were loading it into an existing table, we would choose which table that we're loading it into, and you can choose the update method whether we're going to append the data or replace it and refresh the data as well. So let's actually click on new table instead and give it a name. We're going to name it projects. And then you can see on the bottom, it's parsed the first few rows and columns just to make sure that this is the right data that we're dealing with, and then they're in the appropriate rows and columns. Another thing that popped up right here was please select the column to load. So when we click on configure, it's going to let us choose which specific columns that we want to load. So we don't have to choose every column we don't want to. We're also able to validate, what the column type is. Now it's made assumptions based off of the data inside of the columns, but so we can correct that if needed. We can maybe set these to number or varchar2 or timestamp if we need to. So everything looks good here because it's a preset sample data. So we're going to click on save changes. And then now we're just click on load. So what it's doing now is it's taking the data, it's creating that table in the backend in the database, and it's inserting those rows into that table. So now we can click on create application here, and it'll bring us to the create app wizard. So now that we're at the Create App Wizard, we can give it the project and we can give the application a name. We'll name it projects by default. It's assumed that. Of course, we can always change it. For example, if we want to name it sample projects, we can. We can choose a icon at the high, one of the preset ones, or we can upload our own. And of course, all of these features can be changed post application creation. That just helps you streamline it and choose what you want to do in the beginning. It's also given us some sample pages as well. It's given us a dashboard, a faceted search, which is more like multi-level filtering. It's given us an interactive report with form, as well as a calendar. So we're actually just going to click on check all these features so we can look at them at a later time if we wanted to. And we're just going to click on create application. And just like that, you've created your very first application. So we'll give this application, a few seconds to create, and then we'll go ahead and poke around and see what Apex has created for us. So once the application is created, it brings you to a application homepage screen. For example, you can see we can run our specific application. We can also do view things such as shared components, where we can set up different types of authentication, maybe with Active Directory or SSO. We can also add things such as lists there. And then on the bottom, you can see that we have a kind of a view of every single page in our application. So let's go ahead and click on run. It's going to prompt us to log in. So we're going to log in. And we'll just poke around the application for a bit. So this is the home page that's given us, and we'll just look at a few of the pages that it's automatically created for us. We have a dashboard with some simple graphs that we can, of course, edit and revise. It's given us the faceted search that I mentioned, the multi-level filtering. For example, if I wanted to do migrate from legacy server by Mark Nile, everything over to 2000, we can see those filters being applied in real time as well on the data. We also have a interactive report, which is a report that allows you that generates a form that allows you to edit the data in real time. For example, if we wanted to edit this one, we can click on the edit button, and then we can change the date, or we can change the status to open. We can apply. And so then it'll apply it in real time to the data in the database. So we can also view the calendar, which displays the dates of each project that we have in a calendar format. And so that's all I had for today. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you at the next episode.